Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City!
Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there, how the devil are we all? Happier, I hope. Looks like our season is turning round. Brentford, I'm not too sure. I did say they were going to stay up at the start of the season. I really hope they do. We're going to find out in a minute what their fans think, because we've got a fan from Beesotted joining us. This is Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube. If you've not already, please get over and give us a subscribe. And if you are listening on your favourite podcast platform, thanks very much for tuning in. And we'll say hello to Dave. Hello, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. Yeah. Expected a little bit more out of the game yesterday. I thought we deserved it, but I'm all right, yeah.
Good. Let's just I did mention where you were from, but just tell people sort of where they can follow you, where they can find you online, etc.
Yeah, it's a Beesotted, Beesotted. We were an old school inky fanzine back from the early 90s, and we've kind of evolved, and now we're a podcast, 850 editions of the podcast, Twitter at Beesotted, and we've got a thriving website as well, so there's a lot of content on there. So yeah, we're pretty much all digital now, but we're on
we all channels. Yeah. Well, if you're getting onto YouTube, please look down into the description, and the links are there to Dave's Twitter and to his YouTube as well. First of all, welcome to the Premier League. I mean, how are you enjoying your first season?
Yeah, I think we have enjoyed it. It's a learning process, you know. It's hard, you know. You can go a month or so without a point. I think we've done all right. I think we started well. I think anyone that saw the game yesterday would hopefully admit that we played really well. We didn't look like a team that was struggling. I think it was a draw on another day, that game. I think you had two incredible finishes, and we had two incredible misses. So I think all the stats show that it was an even game. And for us to go away to the King Power, and you know, I know you're not having a great season, but we matched a very good Leicester City team yesterday. And I don't think we're out of our depth in this division. So I think we'll escape.
Not at all. I mean, you know, you came up with Norwich and Watford. You've made a fist of it, which is more than Norwich or Watford have done, to be honest with you. They come up and down, you know, like a prostitute's pants on a double time, as I always say. But I said out of the three that came up, I wanted, you know, Brentford to stay up, because I love I still don't think that sort of Leicester is sort of a big club. I still think as one of the sort of also rans, if you like. But I love the clubs like Brentford coming up, and the likes of, say, your Newcastles, your Everton, etc., going down for a couple of seasons. It's great to see the young, the small. Well, no disrespect when I say small, but you know what I'm saying. Those sorts of teams coming up, giving it a go, and you started well. Let's be honest. It was all looking good. You've struggled a little bit, but then maybe that is the Premier League. But obviously, you've got some teams that have come up like Sheffield United recently and Leeds have blown it away in the first season up and then struggled with the second season. You may be taking it a bit easier.
Yeah, it's a toughie, isn't it? I mean, because what we've done is no one's blown us away. We've lost games, but no one's and I don't want to tempt fate here. No one's actually given us a proper spanking. Even Man City, they scored 3 goals against us across both games. So 1-0 at our place, 2-0 at theirs. A lot of teams do that, shit those kind of goals in a half. So although we've not been that adventurous against some of the in the away games against the big teams, our goal difference is pretty good as well. I don't think it's going to come down to goal difference. I think there's enough buffer between us and the third from bottom place. We've got to lose everything. They've got to win everything, and they've got to turn around a massive goal difference. It's unlikely. So
it is. I think you're safe,
but
Yes, yeah. Well, like I say, I think you're safe. I think you'll stay up. Dorco says here, good evening, sir. How are you? Good evening to Scott as well. Leicester were panicking about going down a couple of weeks ago. We were looking over our shoulders. Spencer, good evening. Every team that comes up always takes a dip in form at some point in the season. Brentford impressed me yesterday. I mean, I think that's it. So when we came up and had our difficult first year, when we were sort of bottom for so long, we weren't getting spanked, and that's the thing. You're not coming up, you're not embarrassing yourself. But what a start you had. Arsenal first game of the season, live on the TV, and you sent them packing.
Well, that blew us away. It was the first game that most people had been to the new stadium as well. So not only were we in a new division, we were in a new stadium. A few of us were lucky enough to have had the TAPS points or the loyalty points to get as part of that 4,000 that got to the Bournemouth game in the playoffs. And then we went to Wembley. But, in terms of being in a full new stadium, it was weird. Lockdown was tough, but brilliant for Brentford because, we had to say goodbye to Griffin Park. It's like, imagine leaving Filbert Street and not being able to say goodbye, not being able to do your normal rituals, go to the pubs, stand there after the final whistle with your mates and kind of have a cry. None of that was allowed.
Rip the seats out and take them home.
Well, there's that as well. But so it was overwhelming that first games because we deserved to win as well. And when we come away and back to the pub, literally the whole world was talking about Brentford. We were the only game, we were top of the division. It was on loop and loop and loop. So it was only ever going to be downhill after that. But we're realists. Brentford are in a period of evolution, is the way we call it. A lot of us, have followed Brentford for me 40 years. Never thought I'd see us in the top flight. Obviously, we dreamed about it, and we obviously hoped. That's the reason you turn up every week.
Exactly.
You don't turn up every week to get to the top flight, but you turn up every week because you want your team to do well. And we've the last 10 years have been an incredible roller coaster. It's not all gone our way, as you know. We've lost the playoffs the season before we came up. But we are. I think we've got a squad that's done pretty well, and we've got we haven't busted the bank. We've got money to spend in the summer, and I think we will, and we have to. We can't do another season like this where we didn't have a right back. So we need to spend quite big, I'd say, and that's what's going to happen.
And like you say, you didn't come in up through the playoffs last season, which probably gave you the incentive. Very similar to Leicester, we lost in the playoffs and then came up the next season sort of automatically. But keeping hold of Ivan Toney, I mean, that to me, because if he hadn't come up, you may have lost him. I was screaming for us to come and get him, to be honest with you. I would have loved him at Leicester. But we went and got Daka. But you came up, you kept him. That was important for you, wasn't it?
It was, but the season before that, because we didn't go up, we lost Ben Rama and Ollie Watkins. So, Ivan, that was his first season. So I don't think he was going to go anywhere. But Ivan does what Ivan wants, and if someone had come in at that stage, I don't think he would have. I don't think his peak value was probably last summer.
Yeah.
But I don't think someone was going to come in for 50 mil for him, and that's the kind of money it's going to take to, if at least that now.
Yes.
He's the leading English goal scorer in the Premier League. He will get called up for England, I'm sure, before the World Cup. Whether he goes to the World Cup's another matter, but there's enough sort of meaningless friendlies before Qatar that I'm sure he'll get one. And I think Gareth Southgate will want to make sure he's an England cap player, so he can't go somewhere else because someone's going to want him if it's not England. That is what it's all about, isn't it? Really, And talk to us about Thomas Frank. I mean, Thomas Frank is one of the nicest men in football. He's a bit misunderstood by some away fans for whatever reason. I don't know. They see him as arrogant, or they see him as playing mind games. And he's the least arrogant and the least mind gamesy person there is going. I think the Danes. I mean, you've got quite a famous Dane in your squad, and I think they're just very open and honest. And you ask them a question, they give you an answer. And some people aren't accustomed to hearing that kind of honesty, and they just they're used to hearing stereotypical sound bites. And you ask Thomas Frank a question, he's such a football man. He's a very, very intelligent guy, and he's coached all the way through the Danish international age groups. I'm sure he will coach the national team at some stage. But yeah, he's a genuine guy. We were lucky enough to go down the pub with him and do a podcast with him.
Really? Wow.
A year and a half ago, and he turned up, had a beer with us, sat there for 2.5 hours. He didn't need to go. He wasn't literally chaperoned in and said, "You've got 35 minutes, fill your boots, right? That's it, I'm off." He was there all night, and he talked about everything. So Thomas Frank, we gave him a new contract after he'd lost 6 games on the trot, but Watford sacked their manager after 6 games, just 6 games on the trot, 6 defeats on the trot. That's the kind of fit he is with Brentford Football Club. Yeah, so he's there for the long term.
Do not start me about Watford. Anybody who watches this regularly will know that I don't mind Watford as a club. I don't like the way they go about business. They sat in 12th, like you say. You sack the manager. Why? God only knows. Getting a manager who failed the season before at Fulham to keep them up, and then a surprise when they go down. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But then again, that's
not our problem, is it?
It isn't exactly. I mean, do you think? I mean, he's obviously got a whole round good sort of relationship with the club and with the owners.
It's funny you say that. He has got. I mean, he's got a great relationship with the owners in the DOFs. There was quite a lot of Brentford fans. Not quite a lot. It was a sizable kind of call for him to get sacked last season, weirdly, and the season before. The expectations amongst some seem to be unrealistic. I think, you can't please all the people, and I just think he is just such the perfect fit for
Yeah,
our buying and selling philosophy. He won't throw his toys out the pram when we sell a player, because he knows that he's going to get 2 or 3 in, and that's just the way we have to operate.
You're cut, yes, yeah. We've all been there in our time, and I completely agree with you. I mean, this season, we've struggled, like you say. We're bad with injuries. 22 injuries all in all season. 23 and 4 just happened recently, and people were shouting for Rodgers to go. But I mean, it's you can't sack managers. Well, Watford can, but you can't sack managers at the first sign of something going on. But I'm not, I expect you that you follow Leicester that much. But have you been surprised after a couple of good seasons how they have struggled this season?
Not particularly seeing how they struggle, because I mean there's always some really good teams that that don't get it all their way. It's clear that, I mean, the 2 games that we've seen against Leicester, you've scored some real worldies. You've got some really incredible quality that's just not achieving its potential this season. But in glimpses, you show what the difference between the 2 clubs has been the level of your finishing. Tielemans' goal at our place was just out the top drawer, as were the 2 finishes yesterday. We can talk about Maddison's dive. I will say, am I allowed to say you shitbag on your show? But
you're an opposition fan. You're going to have your opinion. We take
Maddison,
it.
We've got history with it, even when he was at Norwich, and he seems to save something for us. But that it wasn't a free kick. It was a beautiful finish, but he bought that free kick. We've all watched it. He gets the ball and he backs himself into the player. It is great to be able to have the kind of like the sharpness to do that. But the two finishes were excellent. And you did the same at our place. But I think the 2 games have been quite even.
Yes,
and I think, but that's our learning process. So I'm not bitter about it. It's what we have to do is we have to kind of learn from that. There's 2 points we've chucked away there. There's a point against Brighton we threw away. There's in instances throughout the season we probably could have picked up another 7 or 8 points quite easily, and that's the reason we're not safe at the moment. We are pretty safe, but we're that's why we are kind of looking over our shoulders a little bit still.
Yeah. I mean, they're just saying on sort of the web today, Brentford, you aren't totally safe. But Thomas Frank came out and was saying he didn't feel that you were aggressive or brave enough.
Well, I to be honest, I thought we were pretty brave. I don't think, even when we were 2 down, every time we went behind yesterday, it didn't seem to affect us. We kind of didn't look like we were sulking. We created chances immediately. As I said, if it wasn't for the quality of the chances, the XG on those chances was really low, which says on another day they don't find the back of the net. But we out XG'd you. I don't know if stats are stats, but high quality chances is what we created, and we created more of them. So these things are important. So I look back at that game as it probably on another day would have been a draw. I'm not thinking we could have come away with 3 points. Certainly not. But your drummers were busy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Terry said there, based on that second half, I wouldn't have begrudged Brentford a point, and quite right as well. And I think for Leicester, we've started to get players back now. Like Castagna, he's been in and out recently, and he missed a big chunk of the season. Fofana, although he didn't play yesterday, he's come back. Castagna, because there's just Evans coming back. I mean, it's just hopefully coming at the right time, because we've got obviously the European Conference League to try and win. But it's Leicester of a few weeks ago would have crumbled when you got your first goal, and you've got a habit of Dan, who's the Burnley fan that does this with me, possibly unfairly, but he says that Brentford just come and play for the last 10 minutes because that's when they seem to get all the goals. But fair enough. That's when you do. And when you got that at the 85th minute, I thought, oh God, here we go. Because, I mean, we are the team that lost a 2-1 lead, 3-2 to Spurs.
It's a 90-minute game, You've got it doesn't really matter when you score, does it? You've got to play for the 90 minutes. It's like the people saying you were top of the league in February. Well, it's a 9-month season, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. It's the score. The score that counts is the one at 90 minutes, and the league position that counts is the one in May, not the one in February. So it's. I'm a bit kind of we do score a lot of goals late. That's because we just don't give up.
But then you should know that, if the fans know that, the managers should know that, they should be taking precautions against it. I just want to say, if anybody's not doing anything this Saturday and you fancy popping down to W.H. Smith at Foss Park in Leicester between 11 and 1, you can meet two legends of the club. Ex-chief executive there, Barry Pierpoint, and Julian Joachim, ex-player, signing their books and posing for pictures. And I'm sure if you're a young lady, probably give a little kiss on your cheek as well. No, maybe not. But this Saturday, 11 o'clock, signing whatever you want in the book, so they'll put it in for you. So get down there. I mean, the run that you've been on, and we can just bring up, this obviously doesn't include the Leicester game. You had, the important thing there is that the wins that you've got, and fair enough, Arsenal were out for revenge, Newcastle on a superb run and they've made signings, but you were beating teams that were around you like Burnley and Norwich. That was the important thing, I felt.
Yeah, those two wins were essential. Yeah, without that, I would have really felt the worst, feared for the worst. The Newcastle game doesn't really show the whole picture. They didn't deserve to win 2-0. We had a player sent off after 10 minutes, and that was the end of it. Josh De Silva, who's been out for a year, we got him from Arsenal. He's a brilliant player. He'll have a big season next year for us. And he did a silly. It wasn't. I mean, it was a foul, and it was an over the top of the ball one, but it wasn't actually a tackle as such. He kind of went to change position and stuck his leg out, and it was clumsy. And he's done that before. He did that in the League Cup semi-final against Tottenham last year, and he got a red card for that at the new Tottenham Stadium, whatever they call it. And
the toilet bowl, I think, is what
call it.
Yeah,
I just call it. It's like a blooming karaoke bar. It's just like loud music and flashing lights. A player down against Newcastle after 10 minutes, that we were only ever going to lose it. So if we'd had 11 players on the pitch, which is that's the bare minimum, then I think we win that game because we played all right. And the Wolves game a few weeks before that, we lost. And I don't know if you remember, but we had two players that collided after about 20 minutes, both stretchered off. So we had two concussion subs on, and then 10 minutes after that, we had this drone that was hovering. It wasn't an official one; it was just some idiot's drone. And then they stopped the game for 20 minutes. Then they came back on, and then there was some cock up with the referee. Then there was a police helicopter. It was a surreal game, and that we played well up until the injury. So we probably would have got maybe a point out of that as well, or maybe 3. Yeah. So we've had a bit of a weird, a few weird sort of instances as well.
Yeah. Terry's saying here, I was impressed with the Danish lad.
Which one? We've got about 20.
Yes, I was going to say, that doesn't really cut it down, and I can't see Jeffries anywhere in your squad at the weekend.
We've got Matthias Jensen, who was in midfield, and we had Mads Rosleff that came on in the second half, and then Norgard, Christian Norgard, and then the one that wasn't there yesterday was obviously Christian Eriksen.
Well, I was going to say, because the next question is, where was Eriksen? And I think it was COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I really was hoping that we might go in for him. But I think once Thomas Frank got speaking to him, he was only going to go to one place. And what an amazing signing for you.
Yeah, it's a weird one. You know, we on at Beesotted, we haven't gone too Ericsson crazy because, you know, it's not the Ericsson. You know, he is a flawed Ericsson. You know, he's only with us because he had that awful injury, or call it an injury or a defect. And he was, you know, we're loving the story. You know, he was a dead bloke on the pitch. We all saw it. You know, we all wept, didn't we? It was a traumatic experience for him to be playing football again at any level, even if it was over the park. That would have been a huge story. But for him to be actually in the Premier League, and for Brentford to be wrapped up in that story is a cracking story. It's probably the goodwill story of the season on the football pitch. And then for him to provide 2 of the assists for the goals against Burnley, I'm not sure what difference he would have made yesterday. Maybe, you know, maybe the when Jensen had that first half shot that he hit straight at Schmeichel. Schmeichel fumbled it. Maybe Ericsson finds the bottom corner there. But you know, I don't think we had a lot of other opportunities where he would have necessarily shone. But who knows? It's a shame he wasn't there. The half and half scarf sellers already had theirs printed up. They had Vardy, Ericsson outside.
Two players, neither of which were there. That was the only thing you could say. I mean, like you say, just looking at Ivan Toney, 11 goals this season, but he didn't really get much of a look in. I think we dealt with him quite well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it wasn't one of his most sort of influential matches at all. No, he didn't really see his strengths. He got fouled a few times. I don't think he did he even have a shot? I don't think he did. No. No, I didn't think at any stage he looked that dangerous, to be fair. So yeah, not a great day at the office for Ivan.
No. But like you said, it was a pretty even game. If you know, look, I know stats don't tell you the full story, and Brad, my co-host on here, hates stats. It's just the only stats that matter is the number of times it goes in the net, which is true. But the possession was pretty equal. You know, we had 12 shots, you had 15. I mean, you came at us in that second half, because in that first half, I think you'd only had 2 shots and neither of them were on target. And then you just came at us. You had 5 corners, which was nice to see that we didn't actually concede from a corner this time. But like you say, you know, and this is something that we certainly had when we had the Great Escape year, was that we were putting in good performances week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, I'm looking at those stats now. I mean, I quite like a stat now. I mean, I never used to, but
it's when it's in your favour, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah, well, you can read into it. I mean, it's about you know, consistency, isn't it? That's the thing with, you know, XG is, and which means you're creating high quality chances. And if you're creating a lot of high quality chances, most weeks they're going to go your way. They won't go your way all the time. And as we all know, some of the stats really lie. You know, you can lose 1-0 when you've battered a team, but it's just a way of measuring. And I think they're useful. And I think people can hide behind them when you lose and you go, oh yeah, but look at that. You know, we have more shots on target. Sometimes it's whatever, but I think overall they paint a fair picture. Looking at that, it looks like we're a decent team. We put in a decent performance, and we did. Although we lost, you know, that at least we can come away going, right, we do that another day. That's the standard. That's the bare minimum. We've competed in every single area there, and then we've been undone by 2 bits of genius. So, you know, that's we can live with that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you should be proud of of what you've achieved this season. You know, you haven't been, like you say, you know, rolled over in any game at all. And I think the fact that you had us worried in that second half says it all.
Yeah, and you know, and I'll go back to what I said near the beginning. I think you've still got enough quality there to probably beat us 4 times out of 5. Because you've just got that, extra high quality internationals, and some of your team, some of the better players that you've got weren't even featuring yesterday. So we have to learn from that. We can be kind of reassured that we're not a million miles away. We're good enough. We're not out of our depth. We're good enough to compete in most matches. What we do need now is quality and consistency. And we've relied on a few rookies and players playing out of position. You can't do that. You get caught out. And we have to spend, not stupid, but we have to spend in the summer.
Yeah. And I mean, looking at the game, who sort of on the Leicester side really impressed you? If you could take, say, if you could take 2 of our players and have them in your squad, who would you take?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't take him, but I mean, I thought Castor Schmeichel had a really good game.
Yes.
I think our goalkeeper, I'm more than our goalkeeper's just been picked for Spain. So let's just realise that he's a world-class keeper that we've got ourselves.
Yes.
So I wouldn't swap them, but I thought Schmeichel was excellent yesterday. I've got a lot of time for Tielemans. I know that he wasn't at his best yesterday, and he's just come back from injury. As I said, I think James Maddison is a shitbag, but he is a great player. I mean, that's not. I'm not being petty there. And Harvey Barnes, he's great, and a player that Kieran Dewsbury Hall. We played against him when he was at Luton the last couple of years, and I think it was 2 years he was there, but it was at least 1 year, and he looked too good for the Championship. He looked too good for that Luton team, and we were like, actually, why isn't he playing for us? And he was busy, so I mean, I thought Dewsbury Hall. I know he got subbed. But it probably wasn't. Again, it wasn't probably his best game, but he's a brilliant.
I think he's just been out on his feet. I mean, we've still got these European games to play, and we've still got, as most teams have, games in hand that we've got to try and fit in somewhere as well. And when you've not got a fully fit squad, I mean, I looked at our bench yesterday, and it's the first time in a few weeks I thought, oh, yeah, we've got the backup there, Would you agree with Terry here? I mean, he says, as they pointed out on Match of the Day, Brentford's undoing in the first half was the huge hole in midfield, giving us the freedom to roam. Yeah, possibly.
But, I think we like games quite open. I think I think it suits us. Yeah, we didn't come to shut up shop. So I mean, and you saw Yanel, he got substituted early in the second half. So maybe the manager thought that was a good point as well. But you did have a lot of space. But it was a real to and fro. So there was space both ways. It's a good point, and probably that was the difference. And I know that Jensen came out to block the Castilla shot, but he wasn't quite quick enough. But I don't think any keeper saves that. I'm not sure many defenders get there in time either.
That was like I mean, we'd seen Fofana come back midweek and score a goal against Rennes. Castagna came back from injury and scored a goal against yourselves. Johnny Evans came on. What was he doing? We should have got a hat trick, But
he got a really good reception, didn't he?
Yes. We again, it's an old cliche, but it is like having new players sometimes when you haven't had, like Fofana been out all season. It's scary, really. How many injuries we end up having, but we don't dwell on it. It is what it is. You can only sort of play with the players you've got, But looking at the table, as we do, and if we scroll down, sorry about this, a little bit.
Taking the mickey now.
I mean, you're 30 points, but you have played more games than like say Everton or Burnley. Yeah. But I feel you're safe. Do you feel you're safe?
Personally, I'm not losing sleep over it. Let's put it that way. I think that 6 points that we've got they're worth their weight in gold, if not more.
Yes.
Without those 6, I'll be worried. There's no way I could put on a brave face standing here now if we haven't got those 6 points. I'd be scared. You're right. I mean, there are teams below us that have got games in hand, but they got to win them. You're looking at teams that have won. Burnley have only won 3 all season. Are they going to win 4 on the trot? Don't think they are.
Exactly.
We're dealing in bounds of reality here, and even if they do, the others aren't going to win all theirs either. There's enough points, and we're good enough. We're good enough to get another couple of wins.
I think so.
One more win and 2 draws probably does it. So we're not over the line yet, but as I said, I'm not losing sleep.
Like you say, I can't see. Burnley have got two games still to play to catch half the teams up. Like you say, they've only won 3 all season, but then you've got to think.
We've got 3 of those. We've got to play Leeds, Everton, and Watford as well.
Have you? Well, it's virtually in your own hands, then, really, isn't it?
Yeah. If we don't lose those, then we're all right.
Everton's sort of interesting. They're in free fall at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see whether they can stay up or not. Certainly.
I got a bit confused yesterday. I came out from the ground and someone said Everton had lost 4-0. I was like, brilliant. I didn't realise it was a cup.
Yeah, I know. It gets confusing. Terry says here, Brentford have the same model as Leicester, so who will they try to sell for big bucks to invest?
It is similar. It's a sign of a well-run club, if we're honest with you. I think fans always get frustrated when you keep selling your best players, but fans with any intelligence realise that unless you actually want to risk going bust, then you just have to balance the books somehow or get close to it. I know they get this huge windfall, but if you're spending like Leicester are, you're spending 120,000, 130,000 pounds a week on players, then you have to find a way of bringing some big windfalls in. Who are we going to sell? I guess the obvious one is Ivan Toney. That's the elephant in the room.
Yes.
Someone has to come in with our valuation. We don't sell for nothing. Ben Rama went for 30+ million. Ollie Watkins for 30+ million. No one comes in and does us really anymore. So that's the
and I think you're quite right. Go say good evening to Mike. How the devil are you? Welcome along. Cool. Leicester, everybody sort of says, Leicester, well, we always used to be a selling club, but they're saying, well, you're still a selling club now. You sell, Maguire, you sell Chilwell. I went, yeah, but every club in the Premier League, if you can stay up and have a good run in the Premier League, you don't need to sell because there's that much money coming in. And, we sold Maguire because we said we wanted 80 million for him, and eventually Manchester United paid us 80 million. Same with Chilwell. We're selling
like robbery.
It was, wasn't it? It's like sorry, no returns, no refunds. But clubs now don't. If you're not matching the valuation, you don't have to sell.
No, and we probably got. There's probably 5 there that are worth a lot of money. The goalie. David, as I said, David Raya, he will be a full Spanish international by the end of this window. He'll come on and do some minutes. He'll get his cap. Arsenal were sniffing round for him. I know they've got Ramsdale, so they're probably not in the market for a goalie. But Liverpool liked him. He could play for Man City. He's good enough. He needs to be another probably 6 inches taller with some of your finishing, and he might have got close. I
watched those, and Casper wouldn't have got to them, and that's saying something, No,
like Christian Norgaard's another one. He's had a great season. He's more tackles than any other midfielder in the division. Rico Henry, our left back, he's class. sometimes it's difficult to pick out gems when you're struggling in a struggling team, but there are players there that could literally fit into pretty much any other Premiership club. So
it reminds me, like, West Brom. I think it was Man City came in and offered 30-odd million for Johnny Evans in January, and West Brom were in a relegation battle and said, no, we don't want to sell him. We don't have to, financially at the moment. End of the season, yes, they got relegated. They're in that position of like, make us the offer we want. If you don't, go away, to put it politely. I mean, obviously your hopes this season are staying up, and like I say, I hope you do, because I love clubs like Brentford, as I said earlier. I think you will as well. Moving on from that, what sort of are your ambitions for Madison? What am I saying? I'm just reading what somebody said. What are your ambitions for Brentford? What can you afford to do with the size of stadium and your owners? How far could sort of the dream go?
Well, the owner owns FC Midtjylland in Denmark, who are, I think they're either the current Danish champions. They've been in the Champions League. They're in the Europa League. They played I think they beat Man United last year, didn't they? They didn't beat them.
Who didn't? Let's be honest.
Sorry,
Mike.
So he's a Brentford fan. He's an English guy. But he's a sports gambler. He sells bespoke information, basically, is what he does, and he does gamble as well. So he's already achieving European football for one of his clubs. So it's not something that he won't. That's our trajectory. We'll be pushing for top 10 next year, I'm sure. And European football, obviously not Champions League quite yet, but. It might sound silly, and there might be people listening to this going, "God, rein your neck in, mate." But he's already done it for one of his clubs. Why wouldn't he do it with the other one?
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. Look at us. I mean, the fact that I'm sat here, and we've had 2 5th-place finishes. We've been in the Champions League. We've won the Premier League. We've won the FA Cup after 130 odd years of trying. The dreams. This is football. This is why
everyone is was envious of Leicester City. Everyone loves the Leicester City story. We all shared in that brilliant that championship, the Premier League title. It was the best story that football has seen for donkey's years. And
thank you.
So I'd be feeding off that for decades as well.
But I mean, Europe now comes down to 7th, and it might come even lower depending on who wins what in the meantime. So it isn't completely out the range, and Arsenal don't seem to want the conference. They wanted to finish 8th last season, so they weren't in the conference, which, to be honest with you, I think says more about the fans than it probably does about the club. But it's a European competition at the end of the day. I think it's unfortunately what it's been called doesn't help it at all with English fans. But hey, if we can win it, I will take it. So
from a fan's perspective, it's the stuff that dreams are made of. I mean, I was lucky enough I went to the Anglo-Italian Cup run we had back in the early 90s. Awful competition, but brilliant experiences, and going away to Italy and watching your club. And then for you got PSG, haven't you? In the next, is that right?
Eindhoven.
Right, yeah, PSG. PSV.
Yes,
Not Paris Saint-Germain, PSV.
Yeah.
So you've got a European away day to look forward to. So happy days. It doesn't get better. It's better. No. It's better to be going to Bratislava than Bradford.
Well, this is it. This is it. Totally 100%. Before you go, and it's been great having you on. Thank you so much. I am asking everybody this at the moment. First of all, Man City or Liverpool for the title? I think it's a 2-horse race.
Liverpool, now. I hope. Yeah.
see, I'm torn. You see,
I don't know what. Yeah, I just
I'm torn because if Liverpool win it again, that means they've got 2 and we've only got 1. At the moment, we're equal with Liverpool. But I'm fed up with Man City winning it. But yeah, at least Liverpool are making it exciting now.
Yeah, I like Klopp. I like them both. But yeah, there's something about Liverpool I like more. I don't know why.
Klopp just makes you laugh as soon as he sort of stands there for his interview, doesn't he?
You see those teeth.
Yeah. And 3 to go down.
No, not us. I don't care.
No.
Yeah, Norwich, Burnley, Watford.
Yeah,
I wish it was Leeds. It's not going to be Leeds.
I would like to see Everton in honest with you, and that's a little bit. We're not. They could or they couldn't. We'll wait and see. Again, it makes an interesting season. It makes it an interesting season. Dave, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for sparing your time again.
I thought you were going to say thanks for the 6 points. I thought you were going to say thanks for the 6 points.
No, I'm not that cruel. I'm not that. Not this season, anyway. Last season I might have done. This season, no. But let's. Your contact details are in the description below on YouTube. But again, just give everybody a quick shout out as to where they can find you.
Yeah, come and see us on Twitter at Beesotted, BEESOTTED. There's links all over that for the podcast. As I said, there's 850 editions there, and in fact, go and listen to the post-match podcast because there's lots of Leicester City fans on there as well. So we walk around the pub and outside the stadium, recording people's opinions of the game. It's really balanced. There's some really good stuff there. So yeah, download that, give that a listen to after you've watched this.
Brilliant. Thank you much. We will see you next season, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I hope so. Fingers crossed for you. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the season. And like I say, I do hope you stay up. Take care, mate.
Keep waving those clappers, boys.
Hey, you say that? There's nothing wrong with a clapper.
Hold on.
Are you getting Victor?
It made it even worse. You opened it and there he is.
Well, what was I going to say? Did they put them in the away, or did you just pick one up, or was it in the away end?
I was prawn sandwiches yesterday, mate.
Ah, right. Not a problem. But anyway, mate, brilliant. Okay. Clap away, mate. But take care, and like I say, we'll get together again. I'm sure we will next season.
Meet for a pint in the Blue Boar.
Yes, exactly. Brilliant, mate. All the best. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to Dave for joining us. Great guy, really, really nice, fantastic website and podcast and everything they've got set up there. So do get over and give him a follow. Like I said, the descriptions are in the link below for his Twitter and his YouTube as well. I'm going to ask you to do one thing though before you go. If you haven't done this already, please, would you just do this for us? Yeah, if you are on YouTube, please give us a subscribe if you haven't. Just a couple of facts to leave you with. Leicester have won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games, which is as many victories as they recorded across the previous 14 games in the competition. Maybe we're back. Since losing to Fulham 1-2 and Leeds 1-3 at home last season, Leicester have won each of their last 6 meetings with promoted sides in the Premier League. And I'm about to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Never. Oh, I'm milking it now, aren't I? Never a good time to sneeze. But it's great. We're going to be back at 9 o'clock when I'm joined by Louise, when we'll be taking a look at this game and, of course, all our games as well. And if you've been waiting for the Daily Spurs, and I know you are waiting for the Daily Spurs, we will be doing it in that show. So thanks very much once again to Dave. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening on the podcast. And thank you for joining in the chat. And I will see you at 9 o'clock. Goodbye. See you later for the old sloppy seconds. See you then. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.